Alrighty. Hello, guys. Shana here, personal development coach, focusing on people that want to break patterns and master the triggers so they can truly live a free and bold life. Today we have Brailin with us, and he is the founder of Magnetic Messaging Mentor. And he helps coaches find and fine-tune their messages to attract the right people. But although Brailin focuses on coaches, this doesn't change the aspect that he focuses on people, which we all are. So the way he gets people to their message is through their purpose and their values, which we all do have. And that's really, really the personal work. So I want to dig into the side of what exactly he does. Brailin, let's jump into the secret sauce. Tell me a bit about yourself and how you got into your business. Introduce us.
Awesome. Well, I will keep the story very short because it is a long story. But I was a teacher for 6 years. I also was a head coach for 2 sports. And pretty much, long story short, I was working 80 to 100-hour weeks. I was extremely burnt out. I was so burnt out. And because of that, I let myself go. I stopped doing the things that brought me passion. I stopped making music. I'm a music producer. I stopped doing that. All I pretty much did when I got home was just sit and stare at a TV because I thought that was rest. And at one point, I felt myself just getting worse and worse and worse, where no amount of sleep that I got, no amount of recovery that I got actually helped me feel better. And that's when I realized that I was just living so far out of alignment with my purpose. My life didn't excite me anymore. I honestly felt like I just had lost my purpose. And I remember praying God, please save me, get me out of this. And I remember so clearly hearing God tell me, if you want to get out of this, it is your responsibility.
Oh, so, that's hypnotic rhythm, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hypnotic rhythm.
Yeah, and hearing that for me was just okay, so it is my responsibility. I can't keep waiting for anyone else to come save me. And so I decided I'm going to leave the classroom. I'm going to quit my job. And I said, I'm going to become a life coach. And I quit my job, no backup plan, no savings. And I just said, I'm going to make this work. And it took me a whole year before I got my first client. And again, this is me, no job. My wife had to support the both of us. She had to work really, really hard. But what I realized was that the reason that I was getting no clients, no matter how much content I put out, no matter how good my videos looked, no matter how energetic I was because my message was so unclear. I was speaking to so many different people. I was switching my offers constantly. I was building 1,000 different websites and landing pages and lead magnets, everything. I was just doing all of the work, but I never got clear on the foundation, which was my message. And I remember being in a phone call with one of my friends, and she was also stuck. And she said, I just don't know what to do. And I said, okay, well, let's figure it out right now. And I just started asking her questions. I started helping her. And as I was doing that, I remember thinking, I need to record this call because this is so good. This is what I could help people with. I literally found it through helping someone else and through my own frustrations. But I remember helping her get clear and recording the call, taking the transcript, and then just looking at the different points that I taught her. And I was like, this is it. And in that moment, I decided, you know what, I need to help other people with this. And that became my one message. I'm going to help other mentors refine their message so they can attract the right people. Because for me, it took me a whole year to start attracting the right people. And so for my story, right, it comes from the frustration being so far out of alignment with my purpose, and then finding it and then getting aligned with my purpose and then seeing the impact happen almost immediately. And so the reason that I focus a lot on purpose and values and experiences is because I believe that everyone has a unique message. Everyone has unique value. And so when we align with that, when we come internally, we give the message that we were always meant to give. And so that's kind of the foundation of my business now. It's just helping people draw that out, find the right people who it's meant for them, and then give them that message that only they could give, so they can see the impact that they were always meant for.
Oh, I love that, Brailin, because first of all, I can relate it with myself. When I first started as well in coaching, I just wanted to help everyone and everything. But that's the love that we have as serving and wanting to be coaches, right? We just want to help the world. But there is that specific message and that specific vibe or that specific part that you can go down to help a specific group of people. You know, and it's beautiful that when we find our values and our purpose, then we know that's what we can relate to, then we can relate that with other people. I love that. I love that. I started.
No, I was going to say, I also want to add, honestly, while a lot of us hide behind, I just care and I want to help everyone, it's also a fear response. And people don't realize that trying to help everyone is a fear response, because it is scary to say, I serve this one person in this exact one way with this one, process. It's scary to do that because I am cutting out everyone else except this one lane. And for me, that's what I was doing. It's like, I need to serve everyone because that gives me more chances to find the right people. But it actually killed my chances of finding the right people because I was speaking to everyone. And so what I learned is that when you speak to everyone, you speak to no one. And that's just been something foundational for me. It's, if I truly believe in my purpose and I truly believe in myself and my craft, I could do that and just focus on one person. And if I'm not focused on one person, then that means that there's still some fear in me. And I remember I put a cover. So I mainly help women. And I remember putting my cover up on Facebook, and it said, I help women coaches. And I remember my wife saying, wait, so what's going to happen to everyone else? And like, are they going to be like, pushed away? Are they going to repel them? And I said, yes. And she said, but doesn't that mean you're not going to, get more clients? And I said, no. Like, I'm actually going to get more clients because I'm focusing on one person. And I think that a lot of people need to realize that. Think about why you're actually wanting to serve everyone. Don't hide just behind the I care, because you can care and still know who you're meant to call, like meant to serve, who you're meant to impact. And you cannot truly impact the people that you're meant to impact if you're trying to help everyone else. And as you grow and as your brand becomes bigger and bigger, your reach does increase. You will be able to help other people. But as you build that foundation, you need to be known for that one thing, for that one person. And that's when things start to actually scale a lot faster.
Oh, so good. So good. So many points over there. Wow. All right. So when we're talking about someone's values, Brailin, how do you know if they're naming their real values? We're just touching about this now. Or if it's just the ones that sound good to them. Like, how do you get that out? How do you get those values out?
It's always interesting because you can see it in their face. When someone feels truly aligned in their values and they feel 100%. That internal alignment, you can see them light up. You can see how excited and purposeful they feel, even in the way they speak to you. When it's something that's not real, again, you don't see the same type of excitement. You don't even see it in their content, right? If you are truly aligned with your values, another thing, you're going to see that everywhere, right? Like, I can go on your social media and I can see those values show up. But what I've seen is that a lot of people say, these are my values, these are my pillars. But when you go on their videos, on their content, you can, even if you get in a call with them, it doesn't really show that, right? Because they don't truly believe these values. But when you truly, truly, truly believe in your values and you're aligned with those values, you will be so excited to share that with everyone else. That nothing's going to hold you back. And so for me, I just posted about this week. You cannot say you have faith and then live, small. You cannot say you have faith and then shrink opportunities. You cannot say you have faith and then be scared to take a risk. In the same way, if you truly are aligned with your values, you cannot be hiding it. You cannot be not showing up. And so when it comes to bringing it out of people, I ask the deep questions. Like, I get to the real core of who they are. I have a process, right? I have my messaging map process, and we just get really, really deep on who they are, their experiences, and then how do we align that with the person that you're meant to serve. And a lot of the time, there's also another one. It's my purpose finder. That's always the beginning of everything we do. And I love it because people see the impact. But one of the other things that I love to do is go ask other people, do they see these things in you? What have they seen in you unprompted? What have they seen in you? What do they believe about you? And it's always interesting to see. People will tell you, like, oh, this is what I've noticed about you. This is what I think it's important to you. Here's what I think your values are. And it's always like fun to see people say, like, wow, like, one, that's so right. Like, I do have these. Or two, I didn't even realize that people saw that in me. And when they get to that point, now they know these are the things that have been showing up in me that have already been impacting the people around me. So these must be the values that I need to keep, focusing on. And it's a beautiful process because, again, I believe in coming internally, not everywhere else. It's like, let's look at you, let's look at the internal, and then let's see what people are seeing about you already. And then let's use that to build and craft this message that's going to impact the people that you're meant to impact.
Oh, once again, I can completely relate with that. Because you first said you can see it in you, right? You have the body language, you have the energy, you have the, When I ventured off to open up my own business, because I was so focused, I was employed as a leadership coach within businesses. I thought, this is who I am. This is my identity. I struggled so much to put out content on leadership, on content on and work environments and whatnot, and nobody saw it. Like, when I was putting out the content, I wasn't getting engagement. My husband was like, this is really not you. I was sad because it wasn't aligning with me. And then when I found my true purpose and the people that I could serve, it was just like this light beaming out of me. So I love how you said that you can see it, and that's like one of your points that you do with your clients, the people that you serve.
Yeah, I'm really glad you shared that story because, yes, like, people will sense it too. Like, people will sense the difference in your energy. And I bet in your journey, after you made the switch, people have probably told you, like, yeah, you just seem different. Like, you seem more energized, you seem more passionate. And that's a good sign there, right? Because if it's energizing you, then it's meant for you. If it's draining you, then that's information that's letting you know you're not in alignment somewhere. And once you fix that, you start to, hit a different level, and you get to truly impact the way that you're meant to be impacting people.
100%. And I guess this doesn't just only work with businesses and serving for coaches. This works with people in their everyday life, whatever they're trying to pursue, whether it's, a career goal or a family goal or an aspiration or a house or whatnot. They need to see, like, what is giving them the energy and what's draining that energy.
Exactly. Because I think a lot of us don't pay attention to this stuff. So I have a life coaching background. I also focus on purpose a lot. And one of the things that I used to teach those clients was, where in your life are you living in misalignment? So if something you keep doing is like taking away your energy, why do you keep doing those things? If there are things that do give you energy, why are you not doing more of those things? And I think that a lot of people settle and they think, oh, this type of life is not possible for me. I could never make this much money or have this impact or be this free. And so they settle for a life that is literally taking their energy every day away. And so I like to, focus on, is this energizing me or not? Because every single thing you do It's either energizing you or not. And you have to keep choosing what is energizing me. In the same way, everything you do is in alignment with your purpose or not in alignment with your purpose. And the more steps that you take towards purpose, towards energizing, then you know, hey, I'm on the right path. And you start to grow and almost like scale yourself to a person that's just like so different, so
Yep.
beyond what you expected, so beyond what you even dreamed of. And then you feel it again, and it kind of just like keeps reinforcing it, because you know the more you grow, the more impact you have, and just keeps, you know, going. So
this like beautiful ripple cycle, because it's making you feel good. You just want to go back to, you know, fulfill your purpose and whatever your purpose is.
exactly.
So you have a beautiful, beautiful line of work. I love
Mhm.
it.
Yeah, it's
Brailin, when we were talking, you mentioned something about pillars. You said you mentioned pillars for people who struggle looking internally. What tends to block people from being able to look internally? And then what pillars do you do, if you don't mind sharing with us?
So it sounds very obvious, but for a lot of people it's not. What blocks you from looking internally is focusing too much externally. If you're constantly looking at what other people are doing, other people's life, other people's situation, what other people have that you don't, it's impossible to look internally. Second, if you are constantly moving, it's hard to be still enough to focus on the inside. So for me, this is something that I've done that has held me back a lot in the past. I'm a grinder, right? I was a Division I athlete, so I was just very like competitive, very like, I'm gonna grind, I'm gonna work hard. I would
Working
work
60 to 80 hours a week.
literally, I was working 80 hours a week. And then in college, I was literally like training Monday through Saturday for 3 hours on top of all my schoolwork, on top of competitions. And so I brought that same mindset into even just this business of like, I gotta grind, 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 grind. But because I was constantly moving, I never gave myself the time to just stop and look at what's going well. Like, hey, this is going well. Let me keep doing more of that. Or this is not taking me in the right direction. Let me stop doing this. One example, very obvious example, I found myself at one point in like 6 meetings every week. Like Tuesday, I had 3 meetings. Wednesday, I had another meeting. Thursday, I had another meeting. And it was, I care and I want to help people. I want to be with people. And at some point, I was like, I'm burning myself out again. I'm not giving myself any time to build and create. And so I did the hard thing of like, I'm not going to have a single meeting for the next month. And some of my friends were a little like, why? Like, you don't want to spend time with me? But it's just like, look, I need the time to just stop. Right. And that month was transformational for me because it allowed me to look internally at a different level. And I feel like a lot of people in the process of trying to build and grow this dream, they forget that they already have the answers inside them, right? So in terms of my pillars, every single person has their own unique value. That's like one of the most foundational things that I teach. Everyone already has unique value. You don't have to look anywhere else to find it. It's already in you. And if you're not giving yourself the time to be still, to process, to reflect, to even just see at what's working around you, you're never going to be able to pull out the answers from in you. And that's something that I keep teaching, because so many people forget that it's not about effort. It's not about hustling. It's about aligning. Once you align with
Yes.
purpose, once you align with that identity, once you align with your one message, things feel so like effortless. Like it just feels like you're not really working the same. For me, I still work hard, but I never feel like I'm burning out anymore because I'm aligned,
Yes.
right? And it doesn't
Yes.
feel forced anymore. I don't have to work because I can, again, if I'm aligned and I truly believe in my purpose and that I'm on the right path, why do I need to force it? Right. And for me, I like to pay attention to those little things that people do and say, because it says a lot about what they actually believe. Right. For me, for example, if I feel like I have to work 10-hour days still, there's something that tells you about me. Right. Why do I need to work 10-hour days if I truly believe in what I'm doing or my system or how I impact people, right? That shows that I'm forcing it. That shows that I'm taking control instead of just being truly aligned with, my business, my message, my identity, my purpose.
I love that you just said that, Brailin. I just went to a networking event and we were about maybe a good like 17 people, and everybody was happy and gloating that they're working throughout Christmas. And I was like, guys, we need to rest. And then at the end, you know how you say, oh, who's a good referral for you? I'm like, a good referral for me is any of you who still want to work through Christmas. You need to have that alignment and know that you can rest because what you are doing is good. You're aligned and you're allowed to rest. You're allowed to spend time with your family. And then if you don't want to spend time with your family, serve people. There are so many different charity groups or ways that we can serve people. So it's so beautiful to know that, like, if you are aligned with where you are in life, whether it's with your career, your personal life, or with your family and friends, then you don't have to hustle and grind so much.
I love that because it reminds me to what I said earlier about just when I was like so burnt out, like I was creating that, like I was the one creating that life. And when I heard God's voice telling me like, it's your responsibility, that changed something in me, because it is also my responsibility to create the life that I want. So if I'm working during Christmas and holidays, that also means that I'm not spending time with my loved ones. And I'm creating, this energy that I'm putting out that shows that I don't really believe that I can have the freedom that I'm actually seeking. And so you have to be intentional on doing those hard things of like, I'm not going to work today. I'm not going to work all day. I might post one time and that's it. Like during Christmas, I already know I'm going to put one post out in the morning. It's going to take me 10 seconds to do, and then I'm checking out. And for me, that is a way for me to prove to myself, like, I'm good, right? Because
I love that.
Yeah.
No, I would just completely agree. That's one thing, to prove to ourselves that I'm good. I'm doing the right thing. I'm good. And I love that. So good.
Yeah, there's a lot of science, right? And basically your brain loves familiarity. And so if you have an intention of like, this is what I want, your brain is going to try to prove it to you, right? Because then it's safe. At the same time, as you're growing and you're changing drastically, your brain is also going to try to keep you where you are, because it's like, let's not, right? And so your identity is the only thing that impacts that. If you truly believe, I am free, I am abundant, I am building this big business that has a lot of impact on the right people, your energy and your actions need to match that. Because then if they don't match that, then that shows you that the identity is not set yet, right? And so for me, if I truly am this mentor who impacts people consistently and is free, that's going to show, right? Am I going to be on calls every single day? No. Am I going to work every single holiday, every single day nonstop until I burn out? No, I'm not. I'm going to operate from that identity. And a lot of people, they say they have an identity, but they really don't, because they're not operating from it. Their actions don't show that. And so I love that you brought that up of like, no, I'm not going to work during the holidays, because there's some coaches out there who teach that. Like they teach the same type of approach of like, you got to grind, you got to do this and blah, blah, blah. Like, so we got to get really good at paying attention also from like at these mentors and what they're preaching, but also pay attention to their actions and what they show. Like there was this coach I saw last week. I posted about this too, but this coach was like talking about, I did these two things today, and then this, and then this, and then this, and then this. And like, I barely had time for myself today, but that's okay. Is anyone interested in working with me one-on-one so I can give you the right systems? And I was like, promising systems, but you're overwhelmed and you have no time for yourself. So how am I was like, that doesn't add up to me. And I think a lot of us need to pay attention to that of like, what are people saying and what are they doing? Who are they being? And if you really find an alignment between the three, then you know, okay, this person is aligned for me. But if you see somebody preaching something that they're not doing for themselves and they're promising you something that they're not doing or haven't done for themselves, you know, I don't need to take that shot, right? I don't need to go in this direction. But yeah, I just think that a lot of coaches need to just stop, look internally, because you feel what's aligned or not. And I think that a lot of us push that aside and still make, for lack of better words, like dumb decisions because we want to get money and get clients, but we forget to listen to that intuition, to listen to, you know, that internal voice. And because we do that, we start to quiet that voice a lot more. And then eventually we just start kind of walking blindly and going in the wrong direction even more. So I think that the more we listen to that voice, the louder it gets, the clearer it gets, and it starts to guide us in a better direction than the one that we were going in before.
And it's exactly how you said, walking blindly. We just be like, okay, whatever it is, I'm just gonna try shoot and hit for the moon. Hopefully hit for the stars, you know. And one thing which I would really like to point out, guys, people who are going to watch this, one thing that Brailin said is, it sounds obvious about looking internally, but I have noticed that so many people, that even though that it sounds obvious and that it is simple, nobody does the obvious and nobody does the simple, because we're so brought up in this hustle and grinding, and if it's simple it shouldn't work, that we've convinced ourselves that simplicity is like the wrong way to go. Simplicity is like the gold of life. It's like the bread and butter of life. It's good, you know. It's a beautiful time to in our lives to enjoy simplicity, and if it works, it works.
No, I love that you said that, because people don't do the obvious, and that's been so evident for me in this journey, is that if it was obvious and people actually knew it, then they wouldn't be stuck, right? Like they would already be doing the things that they need to do. And I remember just this last week, somebody had posted in one of those communities, hey, I'm looking for coaches who need clients. I don't know if you've seen this before.
Yes,
the guy who commented in it, we talked a little bit, and I sent him some information about this like small offer that I'm working on. And he looked through it and he said, this is pretty basic information. No thanks.
Oh my gosh.
And this is the same person who was commenting on like, I need clients. And if you look on their page, it's very clear that they're like not getting clients. And for me, that was just like another thing that I smiled at, because it's like, if it were that basic and that easy to understand, you would already be doing it. And so it's not about information. And I think everyone, you know, watching this needs to know that you don't need more information. You don't need another magic strategy. You need to look internally, or you need to find someone that can give you the exact steps to take in the right order. Because you can have the information, but now it's like, how do I actually implement this in a way that makes sense for me and that feels aligned with me, but that also has the impact that I know it can. And so don't just chase information, learn how to actually implement these things, not just, oh, I know how to look internally, I know my values, I know how to not burn out. Like everyone knows that. Like everyone knows the information, right? But it's like, are you actually doing it? Right. And that's why they need people like you who are focusing on the identity aspect of it as well. Because again, it's about that alignment. Because once you fix the identity, once you go internally, it all comes out, you know, externally. And so it's not about, I know this, because again, every single I know everyone knows it. Like everyone knows how not to burn out. Everyone knows how not to be overwhelmed, and they're still stuck in that environment. And so it's about something different.
Yep. And having that mentorship, that accountability, and having that community, you know, I mean, we were both in it. We needed that help, that lift to get out of us, to get out of where we were. So I love that.
Yeah.
All right, Brailin. Wow. Thank you so much for your time.
Of course.
And all of the information. I really love that the things how you go with people finding their purpose and their values. And I think for me, I love that you focus on purpose and values. Guys, give Brailin a follow. I'll add his link onto the comments if you obviously align with his message. And thank you for listening. Alrighty.
Yeah, bye guys.
Have a super good day.